Hey guys, so today's video is going to be a makeup tutorial where I teach you how to get this glam makeup, but I also give tips on how to apply makeup and different techniques that I've learned for hooded eyelids. Hooded eyelids can be a little bit tricky when applying makeup because sometimes you're looking down, you're applying your shadows, and then you look up and you can barely see the shadow you put on because the excess skin on your lid is kind of hiding everything. Or sometimes you apply a beautiful shadow on your lid and then by the time you're done with your makeup look, the eyeshadow is kind of all blended into the crease and has transferred, and now you have shimmer in your matte shades and it could be a mess. So I kind of teach you how to apply the eyeshadows properly and how you can apply them in a way where you can still see them even when you're looking forward and your eyelids are relaxed. I also show you how to create the illusion of a larger eyelid. So if you are interested in learning any of these techniques, definitely keep on watching. Alright you guys, so we're going to get started on this tutorial. Hopefully some of my tips for hooded eyelids help you, but first I want to go ahead and actually show you my lids and what they're like when they're completely relaxed. So I zoomed you guys in so you can really see what my eyes are like when they are relaxed and you can actually see how they are hooded. I've had many people try and argue with me over this and say my eyes aren't hooded, but they in fact are. You can see when I look straight ahead, I have a lot of excess skin that hangs over my lid, and that's what hooded eyelids are, is when you have, basically your lid is like hidden. This eye isn't as bad, you can see I have more space on the end. This side, the skin comes a lot lower here. It affects my eyeliner and everything. It's very annoying, but it is what it is. So this is like when I look to the side, like you can see, it's just, there's a lot of skin here. So for anyone that wants to argue with me on it, I do have hooded eyelids. I think the reason why people think I don't is because a lot of times when I'm filming, the camera's coming down on me and I'm looking down. And when I look down, obviously my eyelids look normal. You know, it looks like I don't have all this excess skin. But if I'm looking straight and talking to someone, you know, I definitely have a lot of excess skin here. I wish like it was like that. Like, wouldn't that be nice? See, now you see my lid there. That would be nice, but it's not my reality. So I just wanted to show you guys up close what my eyes look like. And you can actually see I have very I don't have a defined crease either. Even when I look down, I have very flat lids. Like I don't really have a defined crease. So yeah, there's definitely a lot of tips you can do to make your eyes appear larger and your lid appear larger if you do have hooded lids. We're gonna get started. The first thing you want to do if you have hooded lids or not is prime. But I think it's very important if you have hooded lids because you definitely have a lot of excess skin on your lids, and with excess skin comes creases in your eyes, and with creases becomes more chance of your eyeshadow creasing. So you definitely want to prime. I think that's so important. Some people can get away with skipping this step. I could never. My eyeshadow just wouldn't last. So I'm going to take a primer. I'm just taking the Too Faced Shadow Insurance, and I'm just going to apply this on my lid, and you want to really make sure you get in that area where your eye folds in. This is a clear primer, but I am going to go in with a concealer to even out this skin. Okay, once I have that on, I'm going to go in with my concealer that I used today, which is the Makeup Revolution concealer, and I'm just going to apply a little bit of it on my lids, just like I said, to even out the lids and create kind of like a blank canvas. And I'm just using my finger to pat the product in. Now, if you want to get the most pigmentation out of your eyeshadow and you want to create a very intense look, I would not set the concealer and primer. It is very tacky, so you definitely have to be careful that your eyeshadow doesn't go on super patchy because it may catch in certain areas. But a lot of times I do set my eyeshadow base that way. When I go in with my first color, my brush can kind of go over the area smoothly since there's already a thin layer of powder down to help the application. Now, when you do apply powder, you are going to set that area, and then that means you will not be getting the full pigmentation of the eyeshadow that you're using, because it's going powder on top of powder. If you have powder on top of cream, you definitely get more pigment. Now, if you're a beginner, I suggest setting your base, your eyeshadow base, because it is a little bit tricky to blend on top of this tacky base. It takes a little bit more time and a little bit more skill. So if you are a beginner, I recommend applying powder over your base just so it's not sticky. So let me grab my powder. Okay, so I'm just gonna lightly set it, and I focus it really in the crease area. And I'm just using my face powder, so you can use whatever. Once that is set, now I'm going to go in with a blending brush. Now this brush is by Morphe. It's the M573. It's a nice tapered blending brush. You can use whatever brush you want. You can use whatever blending brush you want. I like to use something a little bit more tapered and small rather than super big and fluffy like this one. This is the M511. I just feel like I have more control with this one. So we are going to go ahead and apply the color Silk Cream from the Jaclyn Hill palettes, which is the first transition shade there. When I go to apply my first crease shade, I'm actually going to not go into my crease and like go like this and go in there. I'm actually going to keep my eye pretty open and relaxed, and I'm going to apply this color above the flap of that skin there, because you want to actually see this color, and if you just go ahead and apply it right in there, you're not going to see it when your eyes are open. So you want to be able to see that transition shade. So I'm just going ahead and applying this right above here. So yeah, we're applying this warm brown shade above the crease area. And I also like to bring my eyeshadows, like I like to wing them out a little bit to create like elongated, more exotic looking eyes. Now, if I'm creating a very intense smoky look, I will kind of do the Nikki Tutorials technique, where she really packs on one color and then blends it out from there. But if you are just doing an everyday look and don't have time to really sit there and blend like that, then I suggest going in with a transition shade first. Okay, now I'm going to go in with the same brush. I'm going to take this shade here, which is the shade Pukey, and I'm just going to get that on my brush. You tap off the excess. And I'm going to do the same kind of technique, but I am going to bring this one a little bit lower than I was putting the other shade. This is just going to create a little bit of depth for me. Okay, now I'm going to take an angled brush. This is by Mikasa Beauty. It is just a traditional angled brush, and I'm going to take the color Mocha, which is this color here. So this is a nice chocolatey brown. And I know you're wondering, why are you using an angled brush in your crease? But what we're going to do is we're going to map out the crease area. So you want to look straight ahead like this so you can really see where your crease is. And you want to go right above that little flap there. And you don't want to be heavy-handed with this because you don't want to create too harsh of a line. And we are going to go ahead and blend this out. But you do want to just kind of create a little bit of a map, basically. And what I'm going to do is I'm actually going to just bring this down like that. So now once you see where you're actually, the reason why we do this step is because we actually want to see this color. We don't want it to be hidden when our eyes are closed. So that's why I wing it out so you can see the darkness on the outer corners, but also you want to be able to see it in this crease area when your eyes are open. So you're going to want to take a small little definer brush and a little bit of that mocha shade, and we're going to use this to blend out that harsh line. And basically I'm just going back and forth over that harsh line to get rid of it and just kind of diffuse it. I am going to go back in with that pukey shade and just kind of use that to diffuse the edges even further and help create like a nice gradient effect. And then you want to go back in with the first brush you use and just use that to blend out the edges. So as you can see, now we can really see our crease shades even when our eyes are open. I'm going to go back in with this shade again, and I'm going to mix the mocha shade here with this shade as well, which is the shade Central Park. Right? Yeah, Central Park. So I'm going to mix those two shades together, knock off the excess, because if this gets on your foundation, it may cause a little bit of a mess. And I'm going to use this to darken that outer corner. And when you are blending, it's okay to go like this to really smooth out that lid space so you can really get a nice blend. Now, if you are not planning on wearing wing liner, I wouldn't wing your shadow out so much, but today I am going to be wearing wing liner. Eyeshadow will complement that, but if I was just going to be wearing lashes, I wouldn't bring it out so far. But I'm going to go ahead and do the steps that I just did on this eye, and I'll be right back. Alright you guys, so now that the crease is done, we're going to move on to the lid, but you can see that as you can see by doing that technique, you can still see my crease shade when I am looking straight. So that's kind of the whole point. I'm going to use a concealer to carve out my lid. That way we actually create the illusion of a larger lid. This step is crucial. Also, it helps prevent your eyeshadow from transferring. Like if you were just to put your eyeshadow here and look up, it's going to transfer into your crease, and then you're going to have your frosty shades mix it with your matte shades, and it's just not cute. So by doing this, it creates a more precise lid space, makes your lid look larger, and just prevents your eyes from transferring when you blink and all of that. So I'm going to take some of the concealer on the back of my hand, and then I take a small little brush like this. This is like a little concealer brush. I'm actually going to zoom you in a little bit so you can see what I'm doing. But this is like a little concealer brush that I got off of Amazon, and what I do is I just take the brush and I really work the product into it on both ends. And by working on both sides, it's going to kind of sandwich the brush together, and it's going to make it easier to carve the lid. So now what you're going to do is you're going to apply the product right at the base of your eyelid. So like right there. Okay? Then you're going to look up and look left and right. And it's going to leave like a little bit of product in the crease. By looking up and doing that and creating that little bit of product in there, that's going to be your guide as to where you should be bringing this product all the way up to. Because that's showing you that is where the transferring on your eye will stop. So if you bring the shadow all the way up there, when you blink, your eye is not going to transfer, your lid is not going to transfer into your crease. So we are going to use that guide and carve out our lid. I have done this step many times on my channel before, but I wanted to explain it in detail in this video. This is also great as a makeup artist if you do this trick on your clients that have hooded eyes. It's going to help them as well. And then when you get to the end, just kind of taper it off. Like, you don't have to be too crazy with it. But now, as you can see, when I look forward, now I have all this lid space and you can actually see my lid. So now we can apply our lid shade. I'm going to be using the second shade in the palette, which is Beam, which is this shade here, right? Yes. So we're gonna apply that all over our lid. Also, by applying this concealer, it's gonna allow your eyeshadow on your lid to stick a lot better. Guys, do you see the difference? Do you see the difference in each eye now that this shadow is applied? Don't worry, we are going to work on this outer corner here and blend it, but it makes such a difference, that step. Alright, see, now this is looking a little choppy, so we're going to go ahead and take the Pukey shade with our blending brush, knock off the excess, and we're going to apply that on the edge of the chocolate brown and the light, or the Beam shade rather. And just kind of create a nice fading effect. I think the key with this is to pat and not swipe so much, because you don't want the colors to kind of all run into each other. You just kind of want to pat them on and put them in their place and not move them around too much. You can see that's a lot better, a lot more faded, and just looks a lot better. So now we have a lid, you guys. So I'm going to go ahead again and do the steps I just did on this eye, and then we're going to move on to liner and finish up the eyes and look. Alright, you guys, now that that step is done, you could just see the huge difference that it makes. I just feel like I look now like I actually have eyelids. I do want to mention that it is always a good idea to highlight your brow bone right at the arch. So like right here, that's the only place you really want to put it. This step I think is important just because it lifts up the eye. So again, we just want to do as much lifting as we can, or the illusion of lifting. And I just take my blending brush and I just blend the edges of the color I just put. And the reason why you want to put it just at the arch is because you want the illusion that the arch is going up, not the whole brow. Now, so as far as the lower lash line, there's really nothing you could do that's going to affect your hooded eyelids. The lower lash line doesn't really affect your actual lids. So I'm just going to go ahead and apply the darker, I'm just going to apply the shades that I applied in my crease on my lower lash line. And I'm just going to start with the darkest shades right at the lash line and then blend out until I get to the lightest shades. And also, I'm not going to bring the darkest shade all the way in. I kind of want to bring it like halfway. So now I'm just going to start blending out using that mocha shade. And then once that shade's applied, you're then going to want to go with the Pukey shade. And then once that's applied, you're then going to want to highlight the inner corner. So I'm going to use the same shade I used on the lid to highlight the inner corner, and I'm just applying that. I always highlight my inner corner just because I feel like it opens up the eyes, and yeah, I just hate how I look without it. I feel like the look isn't complete if I don't do this step. So I've been doing this since I got into makeup. I always highlight the inner corner. You can see it just brightens up the eyes. So now we're going to move on to liquid liner. Now, I'm not going to go too in depth on how to do this. for hooded eyes. I do have a tutorial that I will link down below. It's kind of old though. The trick is to either make a thin enough line and wing where the hood of your eye isn't going to affect the look of your wing, or make it thick enough where when you look straight, even with the hood, you know, it's a nice thick cat eye. So you have to play around with what works with your eye in regards to eyeliner. But so now what I'm doing is I'm drawing the line while my eye is relaxed to see, okay, like if I do that, you can see it's really not affecting the shape of the liner too much. It's still giving me a nice wing. So I think that's a good place for it. But notice when I look down now, it's not a smooth line. It kind of is like a smooth line and then goes up. But unfortunately, that's just what works for my eye shape. So that's what I'm gonna have to do. I'm just taking a Q-tip and absorbing any extra product because you don't ever want like your eyeliner to be too cakey. So now you can see, like, when I'm just like relaxed, you know, my eyeliner doesn't look that bad. You know, and my hood isn't affecting the liner too much. But like I said, it's very hard for me on this eye especially because my hood, like you can see, it comes down so low, so no matter what, I feel like my eyeliner always gets affected. And you can see I even have like 2 creases in here. This eye is all kinds of messed up. So anyways, I'm gonna go ahead and try and match both eyes, put on the lashes, and now I'll be back for real. All right, you guys, so I'm back, and funny story, I'm pretty sure I put on 2 different lashes. They were next to each other, so I assumed they were the same. And they look so similar, but once they're on their eye, they're totally different. Like, these ones are nowhere near as, like, wispy as these ones. Whoops, I guess we're gonna rock 2 different lashes today because I don't feel like changing it. But anyways, here are the finished eyes. I love this look. I think it's very me. It's very my style. This is like one of my go-to glam looks. I just feel like it makes my eyes look larger, and I don't know, I think you can never really go wrong with like a warm smoky eye with like a light shimmery shade on the lid. I also put a cream liner, by the way, in the waterline just to open up the eyes a little bit more. So now I'm going to go ahead with Taurus lip liner by Colourpop. This has been my go-to lip combination lately. And now I'm going to go in with Anastasia's Naked Liquid Lipstick. Once I apply that, I just take my finger and I just kind of mesh the liner and the liquid lip together. You can keep the lips like this, but I'm gonna add gloss, and I'm using Champagne Glam by e.l.f. It is the plumping gloss that they have. What the gloss looks like, by the way, it's like a nice shimmery gold nude. Alright, you guys, so that is it. That is the lip and eyes for today. I hope you guys enjoyed this video, and hopefully you learned something if you do have hooded eyes, and if you don't, you can still do this look. But yeah, I love it. This is like one of my go-to looks when I just want to be glam, but I don't want to try something new. I love this palette, the Jaclyn Morphe palette. I use it quite often. I used it a lot more when I first got it, but I'll be honest, I haven't really been wearing a ton of makeup the last like 2 months. I don't know why. I just kind of been sticking to more like everyday looks, but when I want to be glam, this is kind of what I go for. and this is how I make my eyes look larger and make my eyes look like I actually have a lid. So yeah, I hope you guys enjoyed, and I will see you guys in my next video. Bye!